Welcome back, gang. We're here with a Magcrow PvP build, lethal weapon, made for bombing. This thing is an absolute nuclear missile meant with one purpose: massive AoE destruction, and is still the king of massive AoE nukes in Cyrodiil, battlegrounds, or Imperial City. So should you play this build, just know that in update 33, it's going to be equally as lethal and nothing really is going to change. It has crazy AoE burst, good group utility, self-healing. The cons is it has a higher skill cap to actually pull off the combo, and it's not really great for solo play. But if these clips show you anything, you want big, massive, nasty nukes in the ElderScrollsOnline PvP, this is your build. Let's get started and break down the skills, combo, gear, everything. So first up is the skills. I'm going to give you flexible options. In our front bar, we're going to use a lightning staff, primarily for the passive that adds AoE damage. This is just all about AoE damage, and that's what we excel at. The first ability up is Skulking Blast Bones. It's great single target and AoE damage, but it constantly needs to be recast because it has about a 2.5 second delay, and then it charges off and nukes an opponent. The longer it charges, the harder it hits, and it creates a corpse on death, which is also really important. So this is your primary nuke, single target and AoE, and what you launch in with right before you charge in for a nuke. And this is part one of our combo. Necrotic Potence is our next ability up, and we're going to slot this on our front bar. It's going to reduce damage taken by 3%, but it's also going to give back ultimate, so it's going to allow us to get to our Colossus combo much quicker, and it has great healing over time as well. Consider this a flex spot on your bar. If you're going to have this slotted, you're going to use Spell Power Potions or a dragonknight to run the buff that gives spell damage. So if you don't have those, put in Degeneration from the Mages Guild. I also slot in Degeneration for the Mages Guild when I'm playing solo because the dot pressure is nice. Next ability up is Inner Light. Simply slotting this is going to make us hit harder because of the max magic increase for passively slotting along with the spell critical buff. So make us hit harder, we don't have to activate it, and you can't activate it for a counter gank. Next ability up is Pulsar. This is from a Destruction Staff, and it does Minor Mangle along with an AoE and a radius. The upside of the Minor Mangle is reduces max health by 10% for 10 seconds, and the Pulsar deals more damage based on their missing health using the Lightning Staff. So when you go for your massive bomb, this is your spammable when all the people are stacked up. It's going to reduce their health, and if they're just about low, it acts almost like a pseudo AoE execute and just blows them up with vicious death. Next ability up is the Boneyard. So this Boneyard is a circle that you have to place on the ground. It deals frost damage, but the unique thing about it is you can use your own synergy. Why that's relevant is you use Harmony Jewelry, allowing you to do way more damage when you synergize and absolutely flatten a group with this specific ability, and you can activate the synergy yourself. Remember, synergies with this build are very important whether you're playing group or solo. So we're talking Novas, Shifting Standards, Talons, any of those combinations along with Boneyard, activating those synergies flattens people and it's free damage. Next ability up is our Colossus. So Pestilence Colossus is actually the stam-based version of this, and the reason I use this is because it actually hits harder than the magic-based version because the damage increases over 3 seconds. This is step 2 in our combo, which I'm going to explain a little bit later. It gives major vulnerability, one of the hardest hitting, shortest duration ultimates in the game, and when you lay this down with the dark convergence, it sucks them in. Blast Bones hits, 1 Pulsar, good night. On our back bar, this is survivability, and this is pretty much standard. The number one ability we're going to use is Summon an Armor. This gives us major resolve and increasing our armor, physical, and spell resistance. It also is going to reduce the cost of Blast Bones, Skeletal Mage, and Spirit Mender. Consider this your number one back bar priority because the passives make you so much more durable just by maintaining this. So you really need to keep this up for survivability, especially running lower HP than I usually do. Speaking of keeping this up, Spirit Guardian is a second buff you're going to need to maintain for incredible survivability, and this is why the Magcrow can be very survivable without running a bunch of defensive sets. This ability in particular heals, but it also reduces damage by 10%, and it creates a corpse on death that you can use in defeating other things, like ultimate back with your Necrotic Potence. So between Summer Armor and Spirit Guardian, you're going to reduce damage taken by a whopping amount. Just maintain those on your back bar to be very survivable. Race Against Time, or RAT, comes from the Sigic Order. It's kind of kind of a pain in the butt to get a hold of. It's going to give you major expedition for 4 seconds and minor force for 12. Typically, crit damage isn't really that important, but for big bombs, we want spike damage. As long as we kill one target, everyone else will blow up and die. So the premise is they hit this on our back bar before charging in, so technically this could be step 1 of the combination. Plus for those 4 seconds, you're going to get major expedition and be immune to snares and immobilization, so it's going to allow you to charge in and place that boneyard on top of yourself and go and flatten the earth. Or I should say flatten Tamriel. Next up is Wrap Regeneration, simple heal over time. I go with this morph pretty much because it gives a little bit healing faster. The other morph is for big AoE Zerg fights. Next ability up is Resistance Flesh, so this is going to be your burst heal, and it actually can heal other people pretty well. The other morph of it consumes a corpse and heals others, so if you're playing in large groups, you're zerging around, take the other morph. If you're more a small man or playing solo, this will give you more benefit. And then our back bar survivability, our oh crap button is Life Giver from the Restoration Staff, and the reason we use Restoration Staff is to heal over time, this ultimate, and when you fully charge a heavy attack, you're going to get major mending. So if you're out of gas or someone's beating the crap out of you, you don't know what to do, rip off a fully charged heavy attack on your back bar, then pop Resistance Flesh for a crazy burst heal. Okay, so we're gonna back bar buff. We're gonna hit Race Against Time, Potion off cooldown, Blast Bones, Colo, Synergy right there. That's the combo. I'm gonna go a little bit slower, so I'll even slow it down further. So 1, 2, 3, Potion, Blast Bones. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to talk about gear. I run 2 different sets, so I'm going to give you the absolute nuclear missile loadout, and this is for big bombs. Usually I have a healer I'm zerging around when I run this setup because I'm pretty squishy. I'm going to run 5-1-1, so 5 light, 1 heavy, 1 medium. I'm going to go with the Balorg's Monster Helm. What this allows you to do is save up ultimate, and the more ultimate you use, the more spell damage and spell penetration you get. So a 500 stack Colossus is what we typically call it, is going to reward you with a crap ton of spell damage and spell penetration. That's why you really want to save those ultimates and time them for big, large stacks. There is no replacement for Balorgs with this build. It's really fantastic. You could run Magma Incarnate, something else, but it's a staple in bombing and you got to use it. Next up is the 5-piece on the body at all times. I go with Vicious Death on the body at all times. If I kill someone on my back bar, it's still going to explode and blow them up. And that's exactly what Vicious Death does. The 5-piece, and when you kill an enemy player, it explodes for flame damage to everyone else in a 5-meter radius. It's perfect with our other set, Dark Convergence, which comes from Rewards of the Worthy. In Vicious Death comes the Cyrodiil Home Base Elite Vendor, or you can buy both of these sets on traders. When you cast a ability that leaves a ground effect, it's going to suck people in. After a little bit of time, it's going to do magic damage. And the more people that are sucked in, the more damage it does. The damage is not so much what you're worried about. The sucking in is what you're worried about. And all you're trying to do is kill one target, because if they're sucked in, 5 or 6 of them stacked on top of each other, Vicious Death procs, they're all dead. Now, people get frustrated with Dark Convergence, but it's actually quite easy to counter. All you gotta do is hold block. When you hear the Dark Convergence sound, it's gonna go some like Transformers-like sound. You just gotta block or you're gonna get nuked. So people that aren't familiar with it don't block and they try to dodge roll. Dodge roll, you're still getting sucked in and I will kill you. If you hold block and get used to it and just kind of calmly move out, you won't get sucked in and bombed. That's the simple counter. A lot of people don't use it. And then the back bar set is really up to you. I like the perfected Maelstrom Arena staff, and that's going to give you a little bit regeneration and resources staying on your back bar. But you can swap this out for Pontinence for reduced damage as well. It just depends if you like more resource sustain because you're casting a little bit more, or you like the turtle up on that Resto staff. So we look at the gear chart here. I like Divines, well-fitted, or impenetrable. If you want the full-on bomber effect, go with Divines, and then you can go with the Shadow Mundus Dome. We'll cover it a little bit later. I like Prismatic Glyphs in my large pieces because I do like a lot of stamina. Usually when I charge in, I do a lot of dodges, and people will try to CC me because they know what's coming. On my front bar, we're going to use a Lightning Staff with the Sharpened Trait Shock Glyph. On the back bar, we're going to use a Resto Staff with the Weapon Damage / Spell Damage enchant. And then on the jewelry, make sure you get the harmony trait. It makes a massive difference in this build performance. I'm telling you, grab, crush, novas, shifting standard, talons, you hit those synergies, it's free damage and it hits like a Mack truck on players. It's well worth, if you're gonna do this a lot, to get gold jewelry and harmony trait. It is actually well worth getting the jewelry. So this is the main bomber setup. Squishy, requires a healer, but can absolutely wipe groups. The other setup I run with is more of a solo setup, so if I'm doing battlegrounds and I want a little bit of survivability, I can still do good damage, but I swap out a single target ability on my front bar. Instead of using Pulsar, I use Crushing Shock from Destruction Staff. That gives me a good range spam ult, and I can sit back and cast Blast Bones and nuke people. I also go with Degeneration rather than Necrotic Potence because I'm not so focused on the Colo bombs, and I'm more focused on single target pressure and AoE Blast Bone kills. So the way I set this up is I have a front bar offensive set, which is Dark Convergence, and I have a back bar defensive set. I go with a little more heavy, so 3 heavy, 1 medium, and 3 light. So you're going to have a little bit more resource sustain issues. You might have to do some more fully charged heavies. I'm going to go with Reforced, and then 3 well-fitted, 3 in-pen. And then I'm going to go with a Monster Helm Battlers, of course, and then a Mythic, and Mark Hands is usually the best bet. And then the rest of the stuff is pretty much the same. Same on the glyphs, same on the spell damage. But the difference is the Daedric Trickery on my back bar is going to give me 1 of 5 major buffs. So we're going to talk about Heroism, Mending, Vitality, Protection, Expedition. All of them are great and not redundant besides Expedition. And you can stack these buffs on your back bar by simply light attacking or fully charged heavy attacking. Any damage will proc this. So you're likely to have 2 stacks up if you're going back to your back bar. 2 major buffs are really, really impactful for survivability. So playing solo, if you like to do that, swap out the abilities and then swap in the back bar kind of loadout gear setup because this will make you very survivable and you still can do absolute massive nukes with Dark Convergence. Without Vicious Death, it's really hard to whack massive groups. Okay, that is the specifics about the gear and skill. We talked about the combo. Now let's get into the nitty gritty with the miscellaneous things. So if you're talking about races, there's a couple of different ways to approach this, but you can do a burst damage race, focus on crit in the shadow, Mundus Stone. So if you're gonna go with that, Khajiit is the highest crit damage you could possibly get because of the Feline Ambush. Gives you 12% increase crit damage. You're not gonna have the sustained damage with a Dunmer, which will give more max stats and would give more spell damage, but you have that big burst potential. And that's what you're wanting to do. Kill 1 target, and all you need to kill is 1 because Vicious Death will do the rest. But take a Dunmer, High Elf, something else if you don't like it. Me specifically, I play on a Dunmer. Attributes are up next. If you want to go full armor, you have a pocket healer. You can go 64 into Magicka. I don't like dying a whole lot, so I go with 30 and 34. 34 health and then 34 magic. That gets me right around 30 to 32,000 health, and this is the sweet spot for me in PvP, regardless if I'm playing a bomber or not. It allows me to break free a little bit quicker and have a little bit more reaction time, so I do like that. Mundus Stone, we talked about it a lot, but the Shadow is a really good one because it increases crit damage, so it'll allow for a big spike damage. Another one is the Apprentice, increased spell damage, and the Atro if you go with all spell damage glyphs on your jewelry, and you need some sustain, or if you're running Stage 3 Vampire for the Undeath Pass. Now we're going to talk about the champion points, and pretty much standard fare here, so Fighting Finesse, increased crit damage, again spike damage. Occultal Overlord, which is kind of a weird one, but it kind of does a mini Vicious Death. So if someone explodes, it's going to do Oblivion damage, 4 meter radius, combined with Vicious Death. You're just going to absolutely waylay massive groups. Fighting Aura is going to increase our damage with AoEs, and the Master of Arm is going to increase our damage with direct damage. And for the fitness, I go with Celerity for increased movement speed, Fortified for armor, Pain's Refuge, so reduces damage taken for negative status effects, and Slippery, giving me a free CC break every 21 seconds. This is super helpful when you're fighting with Zergs. And then next up on the consumables, you can go one of 2 ways. The Smoke Bear Haunch is really, really good. Increases our max stats. We're not going to get max magic, but we're going to get recovery across the board, stam and magic and health. The reason that's so useful is you're going to dodge roll and CC break a bit, especially when you're trying to close the gap and people are harassing you. So you might run out of stamina sustain. You can also go with Witch Mothers or something else that's a lot cheaper, but Smoke Bear Haunch is really good if you're trying to min-max. Potions. There's a couple different options in potions. And so what I'd highly recommend doing is having either spell power, stealth detection ones on you. That's going to be really good for detecting stealth, or it's going to give you the spell power buff, and you already have the crit buff on your front bar. If you have someone running the molten weapons, the dragonknight providing the spell damage buff, you need to use a movability potion. So when you go in for your big bomb, you can't be CC'd, allowing you to actually get it off. Otherwise, you'll get CC when you close the gap, and it will be kind of frustrating. Hold, hold, hold. See if they turn around the corner. Now, 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 now! Yeah! Bomb the baby! Get him! Just crunch him! Bad life decisions! Bad life decisions! Bang! Bang! Keep crunching, baby! You got trapped! I'm in trouble. Second floor. Okay, ready? 3. Now, now, on the gates! Bang! Bang! Go third, go third, go third. Almost got Colo up again. Hold back, hold back. It's humiliation's bomb. Oh, he got us too. All right, I'm going in for another one. Got him, got him, got him, bang! Peach slices! Gotta get peach slices down! Get him, right in the corner, right in the corner. Who got someone up? Who got someone up? I'm just about there, Bang! Got another one! Come on, Odin, where are you with me? I'm up. 3, 2, 1, third bomb. Here's another one! And that wraps up the build. It's one of the best AoE absolute nuclear missiles. Not going to change in update 33. Still be very, very strong. You'll have some options in what weapon choices you want to use in the update 33. You could even use dual wield and use spin to win, but you'd run out of stamina pretty quick. So I hope you liked this video. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment if you want more huge, massive, bomb builds, and I'll keep cranking them out. Thanks for watching.